Live, this is KOTV, Channel 6 News at 10, with Clayton Vaughn, Jill Lyon, meteorologist Jim Giles, and Bill Teagan Sports.
Anytime you change a routine within a facility, you have to be more on your toes and a little more alert.
Good evening. Tension is running high tonight at the Connor Correctional Center in Hominy.
This past weekend, an inmate was stabbed to death on the grounds.
He reportedly told police God told him to kill. On Staten Island, I'm Chris Borgen for CBS News.
Clubs here in Oklahoma that sell liquor had better pay their state sales taxes. The Oklahoma Tax Commission is getting ready to crack down on businesses that are delinquent on taxes. The commission has a new computer system which will help track down those businesses that are not paying their fair share. Those businesses will have to appear at a formal hearing in August to show why their licenses for mixed beverages, liquor, and beer should not be revoked. Since last August, the state has collected more than $2 million in delinquent taxes and has canceled more than 700 liquor permits.
Oklahoma's government has been reorganized. The state's 200-plus agencies, boards, and commissions have been combined into 15 departments. Governor Nye made the announcement today and said the reorganization was very difficult. Oklahoma's next governor will structure his own cabinet when he takes office in January. Nye says the reorganization will not result in any new personnel or additional costs to the state. Today was day one of the three-day election filing period, and several key races in Oklahoma are now officially underway. Among those filing their candidacy papers today, U.S. Senator Don Nichols, who's running for re-election, and Democratic Attorney General Mike Turpin, who's running for governor. 5 of Oklahoma's 6 congressmen file for re-election today. The one exception, James Jones of Tulsa's 1st District. He'll be running against Nichols for the Senate. Neither Jones nor Nichols drew any primary opposition today. One major candidate notably absent from today's filings was Republican Henry Bellman, former governor and senator, who's announced he's running for governor again. Bellman is expected to file on Wednesday.
Campaign 86 started today here in Oklahoma. Different, not much middle ground. The campaigns are also likely to be lively, so if we can all just maintain our perspective, we might even have some fun.
Stick that makes Congress work is not the automatic trigger, is not the comptroller general, is not taking the responsibility away from him. It is the ballot box of November 5th.
You're watching KOTV Channel 6 News, recognized as Oklahoma's best newscast at 10 p.m. by the Associated Press and now judged best newscast at 6 p.m. by the UPI.
A Pulse report.
Being seen as a victory for Congress, and it's a professional victory for Oklahoma Congressman Mike Siner.
Some federal retirees lost cost of living increases to Graham-Rudman cuts last March. Congress must decide by September whether nearly $12 billion in automatic cuts should be restored. Robert Riggs, Channel 6 News, Washington.
What Graham is suggesting is moving the office of the controller out of Congress and making it independent. But Siner says that would deprive Congress of its agency that watches over other executive agencies. The jobs of city workers down in McAllister may be on the line again as city officials there search for new ways to cut the municipal budget. A new decal ordinance that would have taxed residents for each vehicle they own was rescinded when too many people complained. But that left city officials scrambling to make up for the projected revenue they expected that tax to generate. A commission of citizens has now been appointed to study city government and see where cuts can be made. Layoffs, furloughs, and pay cuts could be considered for all 200 city employees. City Manager Randy Green says McAllister has been holding the line on expenses for years.
Back in 1981,
and named Jim Flugel is expected to make its recommendations to the City Council by the end of this month.
And McAllister isn't the only Oklahoma town struggling with a lack of money. In Miami, the unemployment is the highest in the state, 22%. Now, while that may sound discouraging, the news isn't all bad. Just recently, the city of Miami opened its new Area Economic Development Service. He's already had a number of calls from companies interested in locating in the Miami area. There's been a lot of talk about diversifying the Tulsa economy, but it's proven much harder to do something about it. Now there's an example in town of a business with a bright future, thanks to the cooperation of private and public interests. Tonight, Terry Hadley
is trying to keep the momentum going. Mayor Dick Crawford has announced that a master plan for the city's economic development should be ready within a month. Terry Hadley, Channel 6 News.
Worries about the national economy helped send stock prices on Wall Street to a landmark loss today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted nearly 62 points, closed for the day at 1839. Now, despite the large drop in points, the Dow Industrials lost only about 3% of their value. That compares with the almost 13% fall on that October 28th of so long ago in 1929. That was crash day, of course.
Black
Didn't set
Thursday.
any, yes, it was. Didn't set any records as far as the weather is concerned today, but meteorologist Jim Giles is here with the forecast. Jim?
I'll tell you, no records, but it was nevertheless hot. We lacked 8 degrees of setting a new record. Probably no record all week long, but mid to upper 90s. It's going to be a hot week.
Well, we're going to also want to welcome folks to our new digs.
Yes, our new home.
Actually, we have a new set, as those of you who have seen us before will have realized by now. And we have all sorts of pretty pictures behind us, and we are also in a smaller studio, which is why we are explaining that Mr. Giles is going to go back into his former home.
His old place.
You think we ought to let him come back in here?
I don't think so.
Well,
just keep me in there.
At any rate, Jim is going to go into the small studio and do the weather right after this, and then in a month or so we'll let you come in here.
Oh, thank you very much.
Well,
I'm looking forward.
It's okay.
We got lots of room.
Sure. Set up right back over there. You can go anytime.
I'm on my way.
After they do this.
Hamburger place.
Forecasts don't get much better if we put him in here or put him in there.
Doesn't seem to matter much, does it? You think he'll get any better when we finally do move him in
Can't
here?
take a clue, that man.
And coming up, Bill Tegans will tell us about a young man with a major ambition.
And it's a whole new ball game for those in the NFL. Those stories next. Bill Sports.
Hi folks, in the spirit and fun of a 15-year anniversary sale and scorching summer weather, let me show you some really cool salesmen. We're all wearing jams and shorts, staying cool and making some really hot deals that'll save you money. All of our new Toyota cars and trucks and our used cars are included in this special 15-year anniversary sale. So come have some fun with us and jam a little. After all, some of us are cooler than the others. That's Andy Ewing Toyota in Muskogee.
The only thing I saw was some body talk, and it was all one 4-letter word.
Divorce Court, Tuesday at 3 on KOTV Channel 6.
Bill, starting off on kind of a serious note tonight, it seems like we talk more and more about drugs in sports
Well,
these days.
it's become such a problem. Hopefully now the NFL players will go along with this thing and we can make some headway. In the wake of the deaths of Len Bias and Don Rogers to cocaine the last couple of weeks, the thoughts of many sports fans have been on the problem of drugs, and so have the thoughts of NFL Commissioner Pete Rozelle. With training camps already underway, Rozelle today made an announcement in New York. He says the league will hold mandatory random drug tests on players during the regular season.
Bargaining agreement and the Constitution and bylaws gives me the obligation and authority to...
For the Afixco team was killed last night in a racing accident in Waco, Texas. Bill died about an hour after his boat flipped over after crossing the finish line in a race. Bill was one of those guys everybody liked, and he told me many times how much he loved his sport.
I really enjoy the water. We used to drag race, car drag race, as a matter.
Tonight, and guys like Ruben Sierra, Jose Guzman, and Steve Buechele, all former drillers who are playing important roles for the Rangers. Those guys and most of the AAA Oklahoma City club were teammates of current driller Bob Gergen. Now all those guys are making more money and moving up the baseball ladder while Gergen is still here.
Bob Stevens, Channel 6 Sports.
Sports is awful when you're over the hill at the age of 25.
Yeah, and there are no promises.
No, that's for sure.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Well, some people wouldn't do it for $1 million, and I think I include all of us here, but it is an annual event in Spain. We're talking, of course, about the annual Running of the Bulls. The centuries-old test of courage began today, as it does every year, at the start of the Feast of San Fermin. Hundreds of runners carry only rolled-up newspapers to fend off the beasts, 6 fighting bulls running along the narrow streets of the city. The Running of the Bulls will continue for 7 more days. And I understand there were a couple of people hurt today, as usual.
Yes, but not seriously.
That's good.
Also, as usual, I have a friend, Scott Graham, over in Broken Arrow, who went to Spain, especially to see that event because he had seen it on television. And he said being there actually heightens the excitement and everything.
Neat.
Not enough for him that he actually got down into the street.
The newspaper.
But then again, he is one of the more smarter people that I know. We'll have a final story in just a moment. Weather, Jim has that.
Well, that's simple. Hot, humid, and hazy. That's the forecast for the next several days.
See how simple that was? Just barely old enough to have memories of Leon McAuliffe playing at the Cimarron Ballroom here in Tulsa. Remember that? I mean, that thing is gone now, a long time.
Yes.
Burned down. Leon's one of the great people that we have in Oklahoma. For yours, good night.
Clothing for Channel 6 News provided by Harold's.